Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is a very special edition of Unger the Radar, where we talk all things film. And I have two very special guests with me tonight, two great critics. After a while, a bit of a hiatus, we have Mr. Thomas Puglisi. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, thank you so much for having me again. It's been a while.
It's good to see you again, man. Everything good?
Yeah, it's all good right out here in Texas.
Awesome, awesome. Well, all is good here in New York as well. I'm here with Mr. Forrest Bennett. Welcome back, sir, yourself.
Randy, it's good to be back.
Yeah, anytime, anytime. You guys are always welcome. And we have a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to go on a trip to Pandora tonight, and we're also going to discuss the wonderful world of James Cameron, a filmmaker who is so rich and so successful with all of his films. Avatar: The Way of Water is currently the highest grossing film of 2022, and it just keeps earning more money as the days go on. And we're going to be discussing Jim Cameron's career from the 70s up until now. But first, before we get into the fun stuff, there's a bit of sad news, actually. And actor who passed away, Earl Boen. He played Dr. Silberman in the Terminator franchise. He actually passed away this past week. He was 81 years old. He's done a bunch of film and TV, a lot of voice work too. Yeah. And he was just such a memorable character in the franchise, and really
for such a minor but memorable.
Yeah, I think he, aside from Arnold, he was the only recurring actor in Terminator 3, Rise of the Machine.
Yeah, he's the only one from the only other actor besides Arnold who carried over from the first two movies.
Yeah, and he really added such a great deal to the films, the first two, obviously.
Right.
And it's just a real blow, a real shock that he's gone. But he left behind such an amazing legacy on film and TV. He even had a very small part in a Seinfeld episode. So yeah, he will be missed. He was one of a kind for sure. So gentlemen, it's been a while. I just want to go around, especially with you, Thomas, start with you. We like to do our weekly watches, as you know. So is there anything that you're watching now, film and TV, anything worthwhile?
Well, currently I'm actually binge watching Freddy's Nightmares on Tubi.
Oh, so, nice.
Yeah, I'm up to the second season, and it's a very fun show. Kind of like, if you like Tales from the Crypt, you'll definitely like Freddy's Nightmares.
So yeah, it's an anthology. I would say it's an anthology set in Springwood.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, they did a similar thing with Friday the 13th, I believe, right? That was an anthology series as well.
Not really. It was I'm Friday the 13th. Well, first of all, it had nothing to do with Jason, and also it wasn't. The primary characters worked in an antique store.
Okay.
And they had all these items in their store that were cursed.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Sounds all right. And it had the same logo, the same Friday the 13th.
Only the promotional stuff, only the promotions, but if you watch the show itself.
It had nothing to do with Voorhees, the Voorhees family, or anything.
No,
like
they just went with the Friday. Honestly, they just used the Friday the 13th title for marketing purposes.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah, and they got the the title because it was the same producers of the movie.
Yeah.
Nice. Anything else, Thomas? Anything else you're viewing?
Well, actually, just recently I watched for the first time Cliffhanger. That was actually first time watching it. It was actually a very, very fun movie.
Die Hard on a Mountain, right?
For me, that's actually what I thought. I also know Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls ruined the opening of Cliffhanger for me.
Right.
Yeah, that's actually what I thought of when I watched Cliffhanger. That maybe that opening of Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls was parodying Cliffhanger.
That's funny. That's so silly. Cool. All right, Forrest, how about you? What are you watching these days?
Okay, so yesterday I went to go see Megan.
Oh, okay.
Surprisingly good. For the trailers it seems just like just another killer. It seems like just another killer doll movie, but
I saw that too.
But actually, it's a very good. Actually, I will say it's actually a very good satire.
I heard it was actually pretty funny too.
Yes, very funny. Very funny, very good. Actually, I would say it's a very solid satire.
Okay.
I would sort of describe it as Child's Play meets RoboCop.
Ooh, I like that. I like that combo.
Um,
Nice.
And then earlier today I went to a screening of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie at Cinema Arts Center.
How many times is it for you now that you've seen that movie?
In theaters?
In theaters, yeah.
I think that's 5 times now.
Wow. All right.
And Tom, you were missed at the screening.
Nice.
What else? Oh yeah, and then just also earlier today we watched Leprechaun for its 30th anniversary.
Nice.
Jennifer Aniston's feature film debut.
Okay.
And also Dan Quayle's only feature film credit to date.
Strange. That's a strange casting choice right there. I love it.
I mean, he only got credited because he helped speed up Warwick Davis's work visa.
Okay.
And then also Return of the Living Dead Part 2 for its 35th anniversary also today as of this recording date.
Okay.
And then also I finally finished the first season of Only Murders in the Building, so I'm hoping
so good.
I'm hoping to get started on the second season this week.
I'm definitely looking forward to season 3. This is such a unique, great show. The style is so different, and plus you've got 2 of my favorite comedic actors.
Personally, I like all 3. I like all 3 of them. Because I'm a self-confessed Selena Gomez fan.
She's talented. She's very attractive.
Yes,
I'm not like wowed by her. I don't know Thomas. What are your thoughts on Selena Gomez?
Well, I think she's a pretty good actress, and like you just said, she's attractive.
Yes,
I mean she's good. She holds her own with Martin Short and Steve Martin, but I don't know. We'll see what season 3 brings. She's good. She's good. Alrighty. So, and for me, I've actually been watching a bunch of films from 2022 that
catching up.
Catching up on.
That's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing too. Like I saw Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio a few days ago.
Yeah, that was really well made. Really well made.
Much better than the Tom Hanks one.
And yeah, for sure, anything's better than that garbage. But one of the better films I've seen that actually made my top 10 list. A little sneak preview for you guys. It's called Armageddon Time. And it's a coming of age dramedy, which has Anne Hathaway and Jeremy Strong as Jewish parents in Queens circa 1980, who they have a son who's like about 12 years old, and he meets this other kid, kind of a bad influence, and he's trying to adjust to a new school, and he gets into all this trouble. It was so good. The title is awful. It's called Armageddon Time, but the film is very straightforward, very effective. And it made my top 10. It was just that good. And among other films, I watched Guillermo's Pinocchio a couple of weeks ago. That was fantastic too. Also White Noise starring Adam Driver on Netflix. That was pretty good.
What else did I get? I also finally got around to watching Turning Red.
Okay. Oh yeah, I heard. Yeah, I watched parts of that at my friend's house because he has a kid.
Right.
And it was on TV, and I caught some of it. It was pretty good. It's a Pixar, right?
Yes, it's Pixar.
Yeah. Thomas, how off the top of your head, what would you say is your favorite movie of 2022?
Top Gun Maverick.
Okay, cool.
I would say Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, that was fun. For me, a sneak peek into that episode. It's The Whale. Brendan Fraser was phenomenal. His performance alone made me just love this movie, and it shot up to number 1 for me. So, but you'll see that top 10 episode in a few maybe a few months or so, because there's still a lot of stuff to get through. All right, guys. So for purposes of tonight, we're gonna review Avatar: The Way of Water, or as I like to call it, Avatar 2, and it is obviously 13 years in the making. It's right. Visually stunning. Audiences have been,
wowed.
They're thirsty for more Pandora.
Thirsty? Is that
a maybe? If the water is clear water, if it's not salt water, then yeah, they're thirsty for this one. But we have Jake Sully, who has become a regular family man on Pandora with the Na'vi.
Well, the aliens. I thought they were called. I was under the impression they were called the Na'vi.
Na'vi, yeah. So he is full blown Na'vi at this point, and he's got a very large family, a lot of kids, and basically there's a lot of conflict there. There's the humans, the Skywalkers are Is it Skywalkers?
No, that's
Sky
Skywalker.
people.
Sky people?
Sky people.
Sky
Sky people, forgive me. There's more conflict between the Sky people and the Na'vi. And this movie is basically sort of an expansion of that idea. And the Jake Sully and his family basically are trying to seek refuge in a water kingdom, which is led by a king and a queen. It's a whole other
Na'vi
tribe. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And basically, the Sky people come in, and there's another battle, and it really feels like the first movie.
And now, well, but except now that the antagonists have had their
Mhm.
minds transferred to avatar bodies too.
Right. So you've got a 14-year-old version of Sigourney Weaver as one of the Avatar kids, the Na'vi kids.
Na'vi kids.
You have the villain from the original film.
I would say Stephen Lang.
Stephen Lang, yeah. He is now also a Na'vi creature. And I mean, it's a beautiful film. Obviously, you know, the visual, it's going to win the Oscar for best visual effects. That's for sure. But I wasn't impressed by it so much.
It's the same. For me, it's the same deal as the first one.
Yeah.
Technically, it's a masterpiece.
Mhm.
The story, I mean, and really nice to look at, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's not going to be something I'm going to be watching when at home,
Right.
or like on repeat viewings.
Yeah. It's just a really pretty movie with not a lot of substance, I'd say. The action sequences are phenomenal, though.
To me, it feels more like that. To me, I feel like that whole theme park criticism that Martin Scorsese has against Marvel applies to this.
Yeah. So, Thomas, what were your thoughts on Avatar 2?
Well, I actually really did like Avatar 2. I mean, like, I do agree that, like, you know, the story is, I wouldn't say that it was a non-existent story, but, like, you know, it was a story that's pretty much, like, you know, similar to the story from the first movie. Like, it's like the only real difference is that the first movie was, like, you know, forest based. This one is water based.
Right.
Yeah, so it's got, like, you know, a lot of, like, those political, like, themes to it. Like, the first movie was like save the rainforest. This one was like save the oceans.
Yes.
But yeah, the visuals were amazing as always. But that's something that's always expected from a James Cameron movie. Like, he's always been very good at visual effects. Even, like, you know, back in like the 80s and 90s, like, his visual effects still hold up pretty well.
Oh yeah.
I would say visual effects, and he's definitely very meticulous when it comes to both visual effects and, like, even though we kind of criticize the story, but still he does, like, the scripts do for him, like, he's very very meticulous about his scripts.
Yeah, and he wrote this one. He wrote, produced, and directed. He wears a lot of hats.
Yes.
I guess you can call him an auteur, you know, because he is a true artist when it comes to filmmaking.
Right.
And in a couple minutes, we're gonna just deep dive into his his most notable works, I'd say. But
also, I just want to say, you know, with all due respect to Sigourney Weaver, you know, she's my favorite actress of all time. But watching her play a teenage alien, it's a little jarring because she doesn't sound like, to me, she just doesn't sound like a teenager. She sounds like a grown woman.
I kind of bought it. I thought it worked. I don't know.
I kind of bought it.
You know, she looked like a 14-year-old.
Yeah, but I assume
the voice. It was the voice. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
But something I also really did enjoy was some, like, throwbacks to, like, some 80s action movies, like that scene where the Avatar Korra is, like, you know, talking to, like, you know, the other soldiers. Like, that really reminded me so much of Aliens, especially like, you know, the other avatars have, like, different kinds of attitudes. Like, we see one lifting up a dumbbell, one
right.
Yeah, so that was, like, very 80s like right there.
And also actually, another question I have. Is it just me, or does it seem like Jake Sully is more AWOL in this movie than he was in the first? He seems almost,
well, he's full blown Na'vi at this point.
So, like, he's really
adapted to the new lifestyle.
But I sort of feel like, granted, I guess, you know, I guess James Cameron was intending to focus on the children this time around.
Right.
Because I just didn't feel like there was a lot less of Jake and Neytiri.
Yeah, no, it was definitely, it was almost all about the kids in this one for sure. And I also wanted another reference to another Cameron film, without giving too much away. Everyone knows this is a spoiler-free zone, but the final battle, so to speak, there is a sinking vessel in the water.
Yes.
It looked very much like Titanic,
Yep.
which I respected because I love the action sequences in Titanic. I think those are among Cameron's best. But
I mean, Cameron is a master of action. A master of action,
and it was really cool to see him like kind of revisit that style because I missed that. I didn't really get that in the last Avatar.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see that kind of live action instead of CGI and motion capture.
Yeah. I'm not too sure if you guys saw the movie in 3D because I did.
I saw it 2D.
I saw it in 3D. Yeah. I don't think it added much, honestly. I could have definitely seen this in 2D and it would have had the same effect, to be honest.
Yeah, so too. I mean, like, because the 3D, I can clearly tell wasn't so much of like, things coming all at you. It was like more about the immersive experience.
Yeah, immersive,
Yeah. I just wasn't impressed with the 3D. It's a shame because
really,
Cameron is pretty known for his 3D.
Really, I feel like I feel like this would be a perfect 3D. Again, that, like you were saying, that immersive experience.
Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't do it for me. But was this also released in 4D in the 4K experience?
Or the 4D had the 4D release.
Yeah, that might have been cool to experience. But yeah, and another thing that I wanted to mention. So James Horner, he's a frequent collaborator. Was a frequent collaborator with Cameron. He scored the first Avatar. He passed away between that film and this film. So they got a staff member from I don't know if it was his orchestrator or he worked in the music department for the first Avatar. Yeah. He was recruited to score the whole film for Avatar 2, and he adapted James Horner's themes, I think, pretty well. So it was almost a
very seamless
transition. So another great talent that passed a number of years ago. I think it was in 2015, if I'm not mistaken, 2016. James Horner was a legend.
I'm wondering though, because since Bill Paxton was also another one of Cameron's regulars,
right.
Do you think if he were still alive, do you think he would have a role?
Bill Paxton in Avatar?
Yeah, in either of them.
Yeah, I think he would have had a really interesting role. Maybe like one of the people that work with like Giovanni Ribisi's character,
right?
But like kind of turns on him and joins the Na'vi as well, kind of like Michelle Rodriguez's character. That kind of
right.
I think that would have been cool. And it's funny because before you guys showed up, I was watching Near Dark. It was my very first time.
Yeah,
it's so good. It's a great film. And Thomas, I know you're a horror buff.
Yep, same here. And also, I would say because James Cameron at the time was with Catherine Bigelow, and he hooked her up with
Bill Paxton, Lance Henriksen,
and Jeanette Goldstein,
right.
All regulars of Cameron.
Yeah, and it was only a year after Aliens.
Yeah,
and there's a scene in Near Dark where they're passing by. The main character's passing by a movie theater, and you see in the marquee Aliens. That was so. I was like, oh man, that's so great.
Yeah. Well, an interesting thing you guys are bringing up, like, some of these actors, like these collaborators with James Cameron, is like, something I actually heard, like when James Cameron was working on Avatar, was originally he wanted Michael Biehn to play General Courage.
I can see
that. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, which would have been pretty cool. But I heard like he decided to recast was because of the fact he already cast Sigourney Weaver, so he felt people have just been reminded too much of Aliens.
Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, most of the Marines are still alive.
Right.
Biehn is still alive. He's doing good work. Why weren't any of them in Avatar? That's a very interesting question.
Oh yeah, I would like to see Arnold Schwarzenegger work with James Cameron again, at least.
Oh, absolutely.
True Lies 2. That has to happen.
Yeah, that's been talked about ever since maybe since 2000 or something like that.
I know. Well, they were going to do a True Lies 2 in around 2000, 2001, but then 9/11 happened, and they're like, you know what? Terrorism isn't so funny.
Oh yeah.
So they kind of shelved it. But they're in a few weeks or a month, they're coming up with True Lies the series on cable on network TV. Actually.
Oh, what channel?
I think it's CBS, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's CBS. Yeah, and I know James Cameron is involved as an executive producer.
Yeah, but I'm a little, I don't know, I'm a little hesitant,
I can't imagine this working on
Yeah.
on a network like CBS.
I don't have
mean,
high hopes for it.
I feel like if you're gonna I feel like if you're gonna do a True Lies series, it's got to be on like cable or streaming.
Or just
Yeah.
bring back the original cast. Most of them are still around,
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely check it out, but yeah, it's possibly not gonna last. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of like the Minority Report TV show, which in fact was pretty bad.
That
I watched
sounds awful.
pretty bad.
Oh man. All right. So I think it's unanimous. I mean, everyone's going to go see Avatar 2.
It's already made its money.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean,
It's actually already made history. It's like the movie
I
that
thought-
got $1 billion of only 2 weeks.
So
But
Top Gun Maverick was #1 for a while, and then Avatar: The Way of Water kind of blew it out of the water, and it is currently the highest grossing film.
I think the question is, are people going to be people still going to be talking about it between now and the next movie?
I mean, it's possible. Wait, he wants to do at least 2 more, right?
Yeah. Well, he said he was
part 3 is already filmed.
or at least the scenes with the child actors are already filmed.
Okay. I think I'm a little Pandoraed out. I think it's a little yeah, I think cap it at 3. That I think you said all you said.
At this point, we're all because okay, so the first movie was Earth.
Yeah.
Second movie was Water.
Right.
Shane Cameron's already saying the theme's going to be fire.
Right.
I think he's going to go all 5 elements.
I think it's going to be a nice trilogy. Just cap it off at the 3rd one, and that you said all you needed to say, Jim.
I don't think he's done. I don't think he's done. And
yeah.
And it's another Avatar involving the elements. I'm like, I think Nickelodeon's. I'm like,
sounds like Captain Planet.
I was going to say, I think Nickelodeon's going to sue somebody.
Right. Well, all right. So, Thomas, final thoughts on Avatar?
Well, my final thoughts is I think it's a worthy sequel. I mean, it's James Cameron's very good at making sequels.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I think it's a worthy entry, and I would say go see it. It's a good movie. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as say it's James Cameron's best movie. I'll get into that later. But
definitely not.
But I think it's a good movie made by him. So yeah, go see it.
Nice. Boris, thoughts?
I agree. It's a ghost. I mean, I'd say see it. I'd say it's worth a look.
Yeah.
I just repeat view. I feel like repeat viewings mileage may vary.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very much definitely a masterpiece in style.
Yeah.
Substance. I mean,
right.
It's It's very well acted.
Right.
And it's not, but I mean, granted, the story. We complain about the story, but then even I think those is Cameron's got that down to a science. He knows what kind of narratives people like.
Right. He's a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
And this is a 3-hour screensaver, in my opinion.
Yes.
But
it's a 3-hour theme park ride.
Right. It's all that wrapped into one package. But I say go see it. Obviously it's technologically brilliant.
Yes.
It took the man 13 years to make this, and I think
people were
impressive.
And people, nobody was sure if this was necessary, or was going to do well. And James Cameron, because I think I was reading somewhere that James Cameron always bets against himself.
Okay, that's good.
But I've kind of learned at this point just never to doubt James Cameron.
He is the king of the world. All right. So guys, we're just gonna take a short commercial break, but we'll be back with our Jim Cameron retrospective right after this.
Under the Radar is brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Patent pending, interchange genuine gemstone and crystal EMF protection jewelry. For more information, please visit magnitudejewelry.com/gemgirl or call 718-268-6634.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Rain Younger on his radar. And I've got Mr. Thomas Puglisi with me and Mr. Forrest Bennett right here. And we're halfway done, guys. But I just wanted, since we did just review Avatar: The Way of Water, I wanted to deep dive into James Cameron's career, or at least just talk about his career highlights, because the man, he is so I don't, so the words escape me. He is
Right.
a phenomenal filmmaker. He knows how to bring people into theaters, and pretty much every movie he's done since The Terminator 1984 has been a success. You know, some with varying degrees of success, but he's a successful filmmaker through and through. And I just want to go down his filmography. Basically, we're gonna, for purposes of time, we're just gonna discuss his directorial efforts. Starting with Piranha 2: The Spawning, which I actually unfortunately did not get a chance to go see.
I've only seen the original Piranha, to be honest.
Was that that was directed by Joe Dante?
Joe
right?
Dante.
Yeah.
Officially, it's Joe Dante, but that was another case of like several cooks in the kitchen,
Right.
and but only one director got the credit, and that was
Gotcha.
Dante.
So, Thomas, did you see Piranha 2: The Spawning?
Yes, I did. I saw that some years ago. And well, it's not really a good movie, I'm gonna actually say, but James Cameron, himself actually disowns that movie, but not so much because of he made a bad movie and doesn't like it, but what it was he actually did have some conflicts, some on-set drama, and he ended up getting fired, and so they had two different directors direct some other stuff. So even though he's got just he's got the credits, even though two other directors directed probably more than he did, but I don't really consider it to be 100% his movie, but I do want to give a little mention to the short film that he directed just a couple years before that, which was Xenogenesis.
Xenogenesis, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and so that one you can just simply watch on YouTube. It's
Yeah.
only 20 minutes long, and even though there's not really too much of story in it because of it was only a $20,000 budget,
Right.
but
It was 12 minutes long.
Yes.
yeah, it was 12 minutes long, and but the highlight, of course, was the visual effects. The set was pretty cool. The stop motion robots.
I'll give you that.
Cool
Yeah,
as well.
it definitely reminded me of the original Terminator.
Mhm.
That same style was adapted into that, into the Terminator. But as far as story goes with Xenogenesis, it was kind of lacking in that department, but it was his first film ever,
Right.
so I will give him a pass.
It's more about, I think, prior to directing, Cameron did special effects.
Yeah.
He worked on Battle Beyond the Stars for Roger Corman,
Also scored by James Horner. By the way.
And he also did special effects on Escape from New York for John Carpenter.
Yep, and he also did some set work for Galaxy of Terror.
Oh, nice.
So basically this was Xenogenesis was basically a demo reel of this is what I can do,
right.
more of a demo reel of what he could do as a special with special effects.
Right, like a sneak peek, like a little taste of things to come.
Yes.
I gotcha. That's cool. So yeah, Xenogenesis, if anyone wants to check it out, it is on YouTube. It's only 12 minutes. It's a nice breezy watch, and it is kind of cool to see Cameron's very first visual work, which is basically a blueprint for
what came
of stuff later to come. Yeah, for sure. But Piranha 2, I'm gonna check out Piranha 2: The Spawning, because I am a little curious. I'm gonna see the first one too, because I love Joe Dante. Even though they look
the first one's a lot of fun.
They look like Jaws ripoffs.
They are.
Yeah.
They came out in the late 70s and early 80s. Like everybody was trying to do it, trying to copy Jaws.
Right.
Or cash in on Jaws.
So that's Piranha 2, his very first directorial feature. Next up, we have, of course, The Terminator 1984, and this movie basically skyrocketed Cameron into superstardom.
Yep.
And yeah, we have a bunch of lovely little toys here. Let's see. So this is technically from T2, but it is an action figure, Kenner figure.
And also Kenner endoskeleton.
Yes. So the before and after shots, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, mine was autographed by Jeanette Goldstein, who played
Janelle
Voight, aka T1000 in T2. She was very sweet. Actually,
Yes.
Forrest and I had the immense privilege and honor of meeting the Colonial Marines from Aliens.
Some of whom who have Terminator also were in the Terminator,
Right.
including Jack Goldstein and Michael Biehn.
Right. So okay, Jeanette Goldstein, she just autographed my figure.
She autographed my blue. Well, actually, all of them autographed my Blu-ray set, which I do not have with me, unfortunately.
It's okay. This is good enough. This is better, I think. So we got Michael Biehn, who was in the first Terminator, obviously,
Yes.
as Kyle Reese.
Also in T2 on the albeit
Yeah.
in a deleted scene that later was restored in the special edition.
Yeah.
That's something about James Cameron though. It's like all of his movies, like they get cut for theatrical release, but then there's always some sort of uncut special edition
Okay.
where and like and here's the thing, it's like everything that's cut out, no filler at all. Like
Okay. Well, the man likes to shoot.
Yes.
He has a lot of footage.
But I would say The Abyss, Aliens, The Abyss, T2, I think Titanic also, and Avatar all have extended special editions.
Yeah, I think you're right. Definitely Aliens and T2.
And it's like all these deleted. I mean, most movies that have deleted scenes, like there's you can understand why they were cut out, but
I would love.
it seems like a lot of his movies that have like where they restore the deleted scenes, they add to the story.
I don't know. I haven't really looked into an extended version of True Lies, but I think that would be amazing if they had some like really cool shots that were scenes that were not in the original. But okay, this is a very organized list here. So the Terminator, obviously a classic. When I was a kid, I thought it was a horror movie. It freaked me out that much.
Yeah, the first movie definitely feels more horror oriented than the second movie.
They describe,
and personally, I would say that even though it has a much lower production value, I prefer it over the second movie.
What do they call like techno noir, right?
Tech noir is the name of the club.
Yeah, no, but I think there's a subgenre of film called tech noir, and Terminator falls under that category. It's very 80s.
Obviously, the first movie seems obviously maybe against this tech noir, but also maybe cyberpunk.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
and post-apocalyptic sci-fi.
Yeah. Thomas, thoughts on the original Terminator?
Well, the original Terminator is actually one of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, I've always enjoyed watching it. Like, I really did like, how atmospheric this was. I mean, and I did like the things that you just actually mentioned, how it did feel a bit like, a horror movie at times. I mean, I think like, Arnold Schwarzenegger really did like pull off like, a great performance without that many lines. I mean, he was actually pretty good with like, just acting with just his face, like, like the scene where he's like, searching in the car, in the parking garage, like, when he's going like this.
He's just scanning.
And he didn't even have eyebrows.
I know, that was a little strange, but that was funny.
Like
another interesting thing, I saw it as a kid, and around that time, I think also True Lies came out, went around, and I saw so I saw Arnold as a villain and as a hero. So I was a little confused, is like, what's the real Arnold? Like what Arnold character should I look up to or respect or fear? So it was a tricky time, the early 90s, but I think the first Terminator is a masterpiece. I love how gritty it is. It's not really like refined like his later works. It's like kind of grainy, kind of got like that 35 millimeter feel,
very low tech.
Right.
In fact, I've actually did see a 35 millimeter screening of it for retro picture shows.
I was at that same screening too.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, there you go.
And like, But an interesting thing is like, but an interesting thing is like, since Arnold Schwarzenegger has been very well known for playing Terminator, but however, believe it or not, he was not the first choice to play the character. Originally, Lance Henriksen was James Cameron's first choice, and it's probably because of the fact that he worked with him on Piranha 2 before doing this. So and he actually even like drew a picture of him as the Terminator with like the leather jacket on, the gun, and his face. And
I think he would have done a good job. Actually, I think that would have been a cool movie if Lance was in the role.
Oh yeah, and originally James Cameron actually wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger to play Kyle Reese, believe it or not. And I heard like what happened was what made him change his mind was that he met with Arnold Schwarzenegger and they were going over the lines like on the script, and Arnold just couldn't really connect with the character too well, and so but the character that he actually did connect with was the Terminator, and so he actually suggested to James Cameron why don't I play this character instead? And then just the more he thought of it, he actually thought that was actually a better idea. So he cast Arnold as the Terminator instead.
The rest
So
is
then-
history.
Indeed.
So,
It
and then of
worked
course we got
brilliantly.
the other picture of Arnold as the Terminator.
Nice. Oh man, what a classic. Okay, so guys, we only have about 20 minutes, so I want to get through the rest of Cameron's filmography here. And Forrest, I know you're salivating right now over
Yes.
Aliens.
Salivating like a xenomorph.
Yes.
Like a xenomorph in a hive.
So James Cameron's sequel to the 1979 horror sci-fi classic Alien. This one, I think he went into the pitch meeting. He wrote down
Alien, and then he added
an S to it.
S and a dollar sign, and then a dollar sign.
Yeah, and that's all it took the executives to greenlight the film. And it's one of the greatest if not the greatest sci-fi action movies ever made.
Yes.
You've got Sigourney Weaver in an Oscar-nominated role.
Yes.
She's got a group of Marines who are banded together to fight the xenomorphs on LV-246.
LV-426.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, and also the alien, also the classic Kenner alien queen.
So we've got the cast here. We've got the toys. We're not geeks. But yeah, Aliens is just a fun movie. I don't know why they marketed towards kids because it's
Or same
really...
I don't know. The 80, I talk about this all the time. Like the 80s and the 80s and 90s was a golden age for marketing adult properties to children.
Right. Yeah, it's strange, but hey, we
But-
survived.
But hey, if it wasn't for all that stuff, we wouldn't be the fans we are now.
That's a good point.
I don't think we would be the fans we are now.
I'm grateful to be an 80s baby. So yeah.
I'm grateful to have such violent, disturbing movies marketed to me as a youngster.
Indeed. It shaped us. So yeah, Aliens it's a beautiful film. The special effects are great. The action sequences are amazing. Whenever I see that there's a screening of it in the city, I jump at the chance to go.
Me too.
Because
It's for me, it's my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, favorite movie for Forrest of all time. Great sound, great visual effects. It needs to be seen on the big screen.
Absolutely. But I hope that someday that they'll show the uncut special edition on the big screen, because every time I've seen it, it's been the theatrical cut. But I feel like the uncut version adds a lot to the story.
I love the sentry gun scene so much.
Yes,
it sounds
or we get to see we get to see the colony before the xenomorphs.
Oh yeah, the Wayland Yutani scene in the office where the kid is on the tricycle.
Yes.
Yeah. Thomas, thoughts on Aliens 1986?
Well, Aliens is actually my favorite one in the Alien series. So I mean, like, I've always really enjoyed it ever since I first saw it. I mean, I really liked how they upped the antes from the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I liked the action sequences, some of the best ones I've seen in the 80s. I loved the music. So I mean, every time I hear that music, it actually gets me pumped.
Yeah, same here.
Good. Bishop's Countdown is one of the greatest tracks ever written. And
Ripley's Rescue also.
Yeah, the whole score is great. There's like the very percussive and pounding and just like the movie, it's like very tense. And James Horner really crafted a great score there. Side note, they actually used a cue that was not in Aliens. They used it for Die Hard, the scene where Carl comes back. And
right. Actually, I could see that.
Yeah, and it was also 20th Century Fox. It was just it was 2 years after Aliens.
Yep.
So yeah, James Horner, and phenomenal composer.
Even though the Star themselves were designed by H.R. Giger,
right?
But the Alien Queen herself was an original design by James Cameron.
Right. Sorry. But yeah, Stan Winston was what a great creature artist. We got him for Jurassic Park.
He designed the Predator.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, really talented guy. And I think, did he pass?
He did.
He did pass away. Yeah. But he left behind an amazing legacy for sure. So yeah, Aliens, top 5, maybe top 3 favorite action movies ever made. Is just so good.
All time. Yeah. That is just all time favorite. Just a perfect mix of sci-fi, action, horror.
It's amazing. And you know what? Okay, so I want to jump to 3 years later, 1989.
The Abyss.
The Abyss.
A very underrated movie, and also the first glimpse we got of James Cameron's fascination with the ocean.
True. Yeah. And he did a great job with that as well. This movie, you feel so claustrophobic. You feel like you're out of breath. Like Cameron did this again a few years after with Titanic, but The Abyss is such an underrated movie. It's got Ed Harris as a deep sea driller who is basically forced to team up with these I think they're like Navy SEALs because of some kind of paranormal activity underwater, like an alien presence in the deep ocean. And basically they join forces and they discover this creature, which is actually the creature effects and the visual effects were by Industrial Light and Magic, who would use the similar morphing technology for T-1000 and T2.
Yep.
So,
which got 2 years later.
The Abyss won an Oscar for Best Visual Effects for 1989, and deservedly so, because it's beautiful. It's a really.
I think today, I mean, although it did okay at the box office, but I think today that's like the only movie that James Cameron did that underperformed.
Right. This. Well, the True Lies was very successful as well, but I think The Abyss and True Lies are two of his most underappreciated films.
Absolutely.
You know, because they're so amazing and they're really, they offer a lot more than Avatar. I'm just gonna throw it out there. But
no, I know. For me personally, True Lies I think is his last great movie.
Well, I think Titanic is maybe Avatar. Bits of it, the first Avatar are really great, but Forrest, so your thoughts? Okay, you did The Abyss. Thomas, what did you think of The Abyss?
Well, The Abyss, this is actually another pretty good movie. I mean, like I do agree it's underrated because, like, you know, when you think of James Cameron, like that movie doesn't really come to your head that often as movies like Terminator and Aliens do,
or Titanic.
So, yeah, that too. Yeah, so like. And like I did hear, of course, that there was a lot of on-set drama, which is understandable because of like what they were filming. So I mean, like, but yeah, I really did like the set pieces. I liked how intense the scenes got, especially for the scenes where like it looked like the rig was actually gonna fall right into the abyss. Like, so those were actually some pretty intense scenes.
Yeah.
And like, and yeah, the visual effects, especially for that scene where the alien comes out of the water, was actually pretty good. And was like, you know, all done with CGI effects, which were
I would say
CGI was in its infancy.
Right.
Oh yeah, like, you know, because you would think CGI and that would look extremely cartoony looking because like there's a lot of movies that came out after that movie that have really bad CGI effects. So
they didn't have ILM. That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
ILM is a powerhouse in the visual effects industry, and The Abyss was one of the earliest examples of their craft and genius. So The Abyss, if anyone watching this right now, listening to this right now, if you have not seen The Abyss, check it out. It's one of Cameron's best and definitely most underappreciated films. All right, so next up, T2, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. We pretty much said a lot about the Terminator universe already, but
it's still like still like one of the greatest sequels of all time.
Yeah, and one of Arnold's greatest performances. Even though he doesn't really have much dialogue, but his presence is really impressive. And this is some of my favorite sound design. The sound effects in this movie are brilliant.
Yes,
the visual effects are.
Brad Fiedel takes his original score and blows it up for for the summer blockbuster.
Yes, so T2, you know, it was actually my first rated R movie that I ever saw.
Really?
And it was in theaters. My mother took me, and I think I turned out okay. But yeah, it was really fun, really violent, but you know, it resonated with me. And again, if I ever have the chance to see this on the big screen, I take it.
I actually was fortunate enough to see it on the big screen several years ago. Okay. I saw it at the Alamo Drafthouse in Brooklyn in 3D.
Nice.
And it's
that was what was that? That wasn't 2021, was it?
No, this was like 2019, 2018, maybe 2017.
It had to have been the 25th.
I don't think I had even met you yet.
I think it was probably 2016 for the 25th anniversary.
Maybe 2016 or 2017. But,
yeah,
it looked amazing in 3D. Yeah. I was surprised. It was normally I'm reluctant to watch anything that's converted to 3D, but
Cameron knows how to convert.
Yeah,
this is a 3D. He's a master at that, and it worked very, very well. And yeah, T2. Thomas, thoughts on this brilliant sequel?
Well, this movie is absolutely amazing. It's actually, like, you know, my favorite James Cameron movie and my favorite Terminator movie in general. So I mean, like, I I really liked Up in the Antes again in this one. I
Yes.
liked how Arnold, like, was a good guy this time, and he actually was facing an even bigger threat with
Right.
the T-1000. Like, all and the visual effects for the T-1000 were amazing, still hold up to this very
Right.
day.
Yes.
And
Agreed.
like, yeah, and like, I think of course even Robert Patrick did a pretty good job playing the villain in this one. So, and I've actually met him, so he's a pretty cool guy.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where'd you meet him?
Monster Mania.
Oh, cool, cool. Was that a couple years ago?
About like, it may have been about 2016, 2015,
Nice.
somewhere around that general time.
Oh,
So
man.
like, and yeah, like it was really a really well done sequel, and like I also really did like how what they did with the Sarah Connor character in this one, like
Yeah,
how
she
yeah, making her a
Right.
badass in this
Well,
one.
yeah, the first one, she was kind of like this,
naive.
yeah, very young, kind of innocent. But by this movie, 7 years later, she's like kind
yeah.
of she's ripped.
Yes.
She's good at weapons training. She's a badass,
Yes.
basically. She's basically Ripley in this, and
Pretty much.
kind of that transformation of Sigourney Weaver from the first Alien to Aliens.
She's bad. She's bad. She's traumatized, but she's she's bad, but she's also got dealing with trauma still.
Yeah,
Dealing with trauma.
and she's protecting the future, by saving the present.
Yes.
I forget how they word it, but she's phenomenal. I only really know her from this, the first one, the second one, and Beauty and the Beast on TV.
She was also in Dante's Peak with Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I've
then
seen her,
King
of course,
Kong- and
also
then
in the original Children of the Corn.
Children of the Corn. Okay.
Yes, Children of the Corn, and also oh god, this is not a good movie. Do not watch. It's King Kong Lives.
Oh, was it
Yeah.
from 86 or something?
86.
Yeah. But she never really like made it into to like Julia Roberts status, like she would never
Right.
become a superstar, but she's a very talented actress.
She also had a recurring role on Weeds with
okay.
as a pot dealer.
Oh, interesting. I'm gonna have to watch for that. That's cool. All right. Well, T2, I love it. I can't get enough of it. I have to watch it at least once every couple months. It's just a fun movie. And again, the visual effects and sound design are amazing. Technologically speaking, it's a perfect film because it just has all these elements to just work for it. And I'm sure Cameron had his hand in each department. So he, it definitely shows again his mastery over the craft of filmmaking. So T2, it's among the best for sure. All right, next up we've got my favorite action movie ever made, True Lies.
Yes, and also probably Cameron's first movie that wasn't a sci-fi horror film.
True. Yeah, there really is. There's no sci-fi element to this.
I would say this is his only straight up action movie.
You're right. And I love it so. And it's his first movie other than The Abyss that has not had a toy line, which is sad.
It did have some video games though.
Okay, which were they good? I never played them.
I never played them myself, but as a general rule of thumb, like
right.
older movie based games were terrible.
Right. Yeah, I can't imagine True Lies the video game being good.
Although I will say that Aliens and Terminator have spawned some classic video games.
I like the Aliens. No, which I think it's the Terminator 2
arcade game.
Yeah,
yes.
with the handheld gun. Yeah, that's a great game.
Those.
Yeah, I beat that once.
I have the SNES. I have the Super Nintendo port of it.
Oh, cool. Nice. But yeah, True Lies, it's just a fun movie. It's a brilliant combination of action and comedy.
Yes.
And Arnold's hilarious. Jamie Lee Curtis, she won a Saturn Award for her performance in this.
Very sad.
And she deserved it, not because she strips in it, but she's actually very funny and very talented. But yeah, this is, as a kid, I was obsessed with this movie. I would reenact scenes with Nerf guns with my friend. And we had a lot of fun there. And I would play the hell out of the VHS so much. I love this movie so much.
I believe it was also a remake of a French film.
Yeah. What's the name of it? Let me try. It's let's see here. Where is
La
that?
Totale.
La Totale, which I am going to search for. Looks interesting.
Right.
Probably not as good, but yeah, you never know. But La Totale would be converted into True Lies, adapted rather. And it's just a fun movie. Thomas, any fond memories of True Lies?
Oh yeah, I've always had fun watching True Lies. I mean, I just really liked how they mix action and comedy pretty well in this one. I mean, it's a very fun movie to watch. I mean, and besides, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis, another really fun character was Bill Paxton's character. Like,
Yes.
oh yeah, like he's got a lot of really funny scenes. I mean, like, which I'm not going to quote any of his lines because I think. Yes,
Ask like a
but
10-year-old boy comes to mind.
oh yeah, but heck, I've always also really enjoyed that scene where Arnold and Bill Paxton are in the car together, and then like he dreams of like going like this to him.
Yeah, it's breaking his neck. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and another fun performance from Tom Arnold
Yes.
as Gibbs,
Oh yeah,
the sidekick. He was fantastic in this too. Very, very fun. Really added. He was a perfect foil to
Arnold.
Arnold.
Yeah.
They worked brilliantly together. So yeah, Tom Arnold's great. Tia Carrera is a fantastic villain,
Yep.
villainess, if you will. Art Malik is the main terrorist villain he was great in this actually. And he's actually a British actor. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He was also in I think The Living Daylights, the Bond film.
Yes.
So, and also Brad Fiedel's score is great.
I think it was his last collaboration with Brad Fiedel. Was
I
it?
think you are right, because after this, he would work with James Horner for the next 3 films. And I think Horner would have done a great job too here.
Yeah.
Because Horner has some really very heroic themes. So I think if he did a theme for Harry Tasker, that would have been insane. But whatever. So I want to backtrack a little bit with James Horner. So he decided to not work with Cameron for like a decade after Aliens. They had some creative differences, or there was some tension because there was a very tight deadline that Horner had to have his score completed by.
Right.
So I guess he didn't like that time crunch. So he decided not to work with him until Titanic. So, and that's actually the next film I wanted to discuss because we are running low on time here, but that's okay. Titanic, 1997, obviously huge film.
Yeah. Nobody thought it would do well, and it just defied expectations.
Yeah. I remember seeing advertisements for it in 1997 for Christmas time. It was December.
I remember it was supposed to come out in the summer, and then it got pushed back to the holidays. So so I think there was like a lot of skepticism.
Okay. Oh, they didn't think it was going to do well.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, and it literally blew everything out of the water. And basically, I think they pitched this one as Romeo and Juliet on the Titanic. That's the movie. And again, executives just greenlit the film, and the rest is history. But you know what? I think
it went over because it went over budget and over schedule. That's why.
I think at the time it was like by far the most expensive movie ever made. It was like ridiculously expensive, and they actually built like part of an actual ship. They filmed it on sets. And just all the details of the interior of the ship were like meticulous, very meticulous attention to detail. And that famous scene with the dishes falling, all breaking, and every element in this film is perfectly made. I'm blown away by this movie. I know it's cheesy.
I'll admit. I mean, I think it's I'll admit I'm not a romantic person. I'm not I'm not into romantic films unless you count The Fly. But I will just say it is a technical masterpiece.
It is, and
the second half when the ship starts sinking
it's great,
very exciting. I mean, even though it's going to sink, but still like how it's all put together,
right? And like I mentioned with The Abyss, like it just is very claustrophobic, and you feel like you're actually out of breath through most of the movie. But and I think Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, first time I ever see them in movies. I know they did some stuff before, but this was the first time I really noticed them, and they're actually they're talented actors. Obviously, they're movie stars. Thomas, I'm sorry. How about you, sir? Were you on board with Titanic?
Well, yeah. I mean, like I do like this movie myself. I mean, I do agree. I'm not a guy who's really into romance movies myself, but this is a movie I've actually always liked. And a funny thing is I got a lot of memories with this movie when back in 1997. Like I saw it in the theater when I was in the 3rd grade, and like I still just really remember so much talk about this movie, and the Celine Dion song was playing constantly. Like
Yep.
it was very, very overplayed.
I feel like I feel like because my parents weren't into Celine Dion, so
No.
I didn't really grow up with that song. Although I was actually more familiar with like because I remember Saturday Night Live would make fun of it.
Of course.
Um,
Well, I remember 1998 was the year of the Titanic, of My Heart Will Go On. Like you couldn't turn on the radio without hearing it. It
Oh
was
yes.
it was everywhere, and it was huge.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like it wasn't in my that song just was not a presence in my life.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a great song by any means. Like like James Horner, he wrote the music to it, but I think his songs from like the Land Before Time and American 5 Goes West, those are much better songs than this.
Right.
But yeah, My Heart Will Go On. And this movie was also it was, I think, tied with the most Oscar nominations and also the most Oscar wins.
I remember it racking up so many wins at the Oscars.
It won, I think, 11 Oscars, and they tied with Ben-Hur.
Including Best Picture.
Best Picture, Director,
Yeah.
not actress, but all the technical awards.
But yeah, it cleaned house in a
Yeah.
lot of it cleaned house, practically cleaned house.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I really did also really like Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet's chemistry in this movie.
Yeah.
They were
Oh,
really
yeah.
good together.
Oh yeah.
And also,
And I heard they did like remain friends after being in this movie.
Yep, and they also went on to do a film in 2009. It was
Revolutionary Road.
Yeah, it was 12 years after Titanic, and they reunited, and it was like their chemistry. It's like they didn't skip a beat; like they just returned right into it, and they were really. I love them both. They're great actors.
Yes.
Also,
Right.
I want to mention another actor from Titanic, Billy Zane,
Yes.
who I actually had the privilege of meeting him about a year or two ago, and he autographed my 3D Titanic Blu-ray. And he was really cool guy.
I'm sure.
Yeah, really.
Oh, yeah.
nice. And
I met him. Well,
That was Monster Mania, actually.
yes.
Yeah, but I don't think you were at that one, Thomas. I think it was 2021.
Oh, you meant my 2021 one?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
want to
I
go
met him,
back.
I think it was 2018, 2017 when I met him.
Nice.
Yeah. The funny thing is that
I'll just say I will never understand how Hollywood has never casted him as Lex Luthor.
Oh man,
I was just about to say that.
he's still relatively young. I could see it happening, or Bryan Cranston.
I think because Cranston's too obvious.
So,
I'll show you. I think because Cranston had been brought around Bryan Cranston. He's like he said he wouldn't do it just because to avoid typecasting.
okay.
But Zane, I think, would have been perfect. Would have been the
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I'd love
that's
to
actually something our mutual friend Vinny Bonfanti has said over the years, that
Yeah,
he's
oh,
like
yeah.
a perfect Lex Luthor that never was.
Yeah. Hey, you never know. It could still happen. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. All right. So Titanic, fantastic film. I love it. That's a movie I have to watch at least once a year. I don't know. It's that good. It's a fun
Oh, yeah.
one. For the
The
most part.
interesting thing is actually some movies actually tried to cash in on the success of Titanic, like the Michael Bay Pearl Harbor movie was obviously trying to cash in on the
Right.
Oh god,
Titanic.
don't get me started on that.
Or let's say the Perfect Storm.
Yeah. Oh god, those are two awful movies. I mean, they're okay movies, but
No, I hated Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor has some redeeming quality. It's got a great score by Hans Zimmer. It's got some great visual effects sequences. The bombing is phenomenal. But other than those two things, Ben Affleck and Josh Hartnett and
Yeah.
Kate Beckinsale cannot really act, in my opinion. They're just, I don't know. But they've yet to wow me. That's what I'm saying.
Well, obviously, if you put Affleck with Kevin Smith, then
Yeah,
except with the exception of Jersey Girl, I generally
yeah,
I feel like Affleck works best when he's either working with Kevin Smith or himself.
gotcha. Yeah, no, he needs to be in Jersey. All right, guys. So the last movie is Avatar,
The original Avatar.
So, and that is the last film that Cameron has made prior to the Way of Water. And I mean, we only have we're a little bit out over time here, but the original Avatar, it's basically it's a retread of Dances with Wolves and Pocahontas story.
I've also seen it compared to Fern Gully.
Yeah.
Last Rainforest.
I mean, obviously it was 2009, and we have never seen this type of visual effects technology before.
and on top of that, Cameron hadn't done anything in hadn't directed a feature film in 12 years.
Yeah, so it was nice to see him kind of return to form, And this movie, obviously, it became very successful.
It was especially a standout because, like, at the time it was, because at the time, I mean, this is still an issue today, but it kind of stood out in a landscape of where every blockbuster film was some sort of sequel or remake.
Yeah, yeah. So,
like, this was a fresh new. I mean, that even though it was not a wholly original film, but it was original in the sense that it was not part of an established franchise.
Right, I get you. Good. Thomas, thoughts on the original Avatar?
Well, I've always enjoyed the original Avatar myself. I mean, I saw it 3 times in the theater.
Nice.
And
I saw it twice.
Just once for me.
yeah, so I mean, like, I do agree the story was a bit generic, but James Cameron did say that he actually wrote the script back in 1995, or after he made True Lies, but just didn't make it because it just wasn't possible at that time.
Right.
And so, so I could probably guess, like, that's probably where the generic story came from.
Yeah.
But yeah, the visual effects, like, were very top notch. 3D also very top notch.
Mhm.
I also really did like the creature designs as well, and like yeah, the action sequences, especially the ones towards the ends, were very good.
I love
And
the,
like I did like the theme, of course, just like connecting to nature as well. So
True.
I really did
Yes.
enjoy that.
I love the battle suits that the Sky People control.
Oh yeah, they were kind of like modified. They were like
the
updated power loaders.
Yeah, similar, but more like agile.
Yeah, and more well built for combat.
True. But and again, it was one of James Horner's last great scores, I'd say, sadly. But yeah, Avatar, it's a moneymaker, and it's gonna obviously continue to make more money as we're recording this episode. It's making more money. The franchise will never die. And they have at least 2 more films coming. I think there's going to be an Avatar 5 as well. So we shall see what this franchise brings. Hopefully they'll add some fresh ideas into the mix, because I didn't see that in a new one. But we shall see. All right, guys. So we are almost out of time. I just want to do some quick coming attractions for this week that this episode is airing. We've got a drama thriller starring Anna Kendrick called Alice Darling.
Which is also her directorial debut.
Oh, cool. Okay, so we'll see how she does.
I'm looking forward to that.
Nice. We'll see how she is behind the camera, because she's pretty talented, actually. Yes. I love her in the Pitch Perfect movies are great.
I would say simple favorite for me.
Okay. Also, we've got The Son, which is actually a prequel to The Father, which won Anthony Hopkins' I think a second Oscar 2 years ago. And that was a great movie, by the way. Great performance from Hopkins. So we'll see what this film will bring us. It's called The Son. It's a drama. And next up, we have a thriller called Missing. And rounding out new releases, we have a drama called Oliver Out Loud. So yeah, nothing. I mean, obviously, I think you want to see Alice Darling.
Yes.
And I want to see the Son. So yeah, some good ones there. Okay. And since we're officially out of time, we're gonna keep going. Thomas, any plugs for you, sir? Any projects you're working on now? Anything going on?
Well, next month I actually gonna be going to a test screening for my friend William Instone, who I met on the set of the Sawyer Massacre. Like, I'm gonna go to a test screening of his movie Butcher's Bluffs, which is a 80s tribute horror movie that he directed and starred in.
Nice. Nice. That's exciting. All right.
Yep.
Cool. Mr. Bennett, anything happening for you, sir?
All right. So last month I acted in the latest entry of the Camp Blood series.
Right. Nice.
I can't give you too many details about it right now, but I can tell you right now it's the first entry in the franchise to be filmed in New York.
Nice.
And also I'm on a podcast called Inside Movies Galore.
Right.
And as of this recording, tomorrow I'll be leading the discussion on the Blues Brothers.
Okay. Speaking of which, before we go, I saved my 3D glasses from Avatar: The Way of Water. I felt it was a fitting prop for tonight, and for the future, it's cool to have some history, wearable history and art. But yeah, that's awesome. So okay, anything else going on for us?
I mean, that's all for now. That's all for now. I mean, but it's early in the, it's only January.
That's true. Well, I have a good feeling about this year. So yeah. By the way, Happy New Year to everybody.
Yes. Happy New Year.
Since
Happy New Year.
the official first episode of Under the Radar to be
2023.
recorded in the new year. So I'm really happy and honored to be in you guys' presence. So this is really cool. So, all right. So guys, if you want to catch new episodes of Under the Radar, you can just check out Manhattan Neighborhood Network every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern on cable TV channels FiOS 34, RCN Astound 83, and Spectrum 56 and 1996, as well as the Manhattan Neighborhood streaming website. Also, you can check out previous episodes of Under the Radar on the YouTube channel. Just subscribe and share and spread the love. So, Thomas and Forrest, I want to thank you so much for your time tonight. This was a great episode, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon from Pandora. And we'll see you next time. Take care, guys.
We'll be back.